Hi, this is a quick video on how we are going to complete our reading process throughout this year. So our reading process consists of 3 reads, the first for content introduction, the second for comprehension, and the third for analysis and transfer. So let's get to it. The overview is the reason why we do 3 reads is in order to completely understand and be able to utilize a text effectively in our writing. We need to have multiple exposures. Reading something one time is not adequate. We can't fully understand what it means. We aren't taking the time to apply it to the topic we're studying and to gather evidence and to use it, and then to use that evidence that we've gathered in relation to the question or the topic we're studying. We transfer it to our writing and produce something. So the first read is for content exposure, second read is comprehension, and the third read is analysis. So let's talk about the first read, content exposure. In the first read, I, Mrs. Bentley, an audiobook, or you will read the text entirely or completely through with no stopping. The reason we do this is to hear and be exposed to new or complex academic vocabulary and to continue working on hearing and practice reading fluency. So there's 2 purposes or 3 purposes. We want to hear what the writing is talking about. We get the basic gist of what we're reading. We get introduced to new vocabulary so that when we go back, we can understand exactly what the words are saying and the meaning of them in relation to the purpose of the article. And we're continuing practicing fluency, working on our sentence structures so we can apply them in our writing. We're working on the flow of our sentences, how quickly we can read without having mistakes or errors, which is really important for you to understand text. We also read all the way through without stopping in order to get a preview of the content, like I said, so that when we go back to our first 2 next reads, we can focus on really what the text is saying and then drawing out our own inferences to create something. So if we just read it one time, we only hear what it's saying, but we're not applying what the topic, and we're not really understanding in our own terms what it means and producing something original. The second read is comprehension. It is to understand what the writer is attempting to express in their writing. In this read, we'll focus on purposeful annotations and based around the essential question and topics. Oftentimes, I'll provide topics for you that address the essential question, or maybe you'll create your own topics. During this annotation process, you'll highlight things that seem important or interesting. Remember, there's no real right or wrong. What you're highlighting for is things that stand out to you, things that seem important. You don't have to write a note for everything you highlight. It's just a reference for you when you go back and look at the text during the third read. These notes will be taken using metacognitive sentence starters that'll be introduced at a later time. They're very purposeful notes where you're tapping into different writing skills. So we're practicing skill advancement and reaching goals while we're also addressing our topic and our essential question. So you'll write these annotations oftentimes with partners or groups because I want a conversation to happen for you to process through this text. It's really important for you to hear other people's points of view, for you to collaborate and get other information that maybe you hadn't thought of. So the conversation around these annotations is actually very, very important to your comprehension. By the end of the second read, you'll be able to find evidence, which means quotes, that relates to our essential question and topics of study, because for our third read, you'll utilize that evidence in order to apply your comprehension to create something. So you'll respond or create writing, a video, or maybe dialogue or conversation with peers in the form of a discussion. The purpose of the third read is to apply your learning So to do something with it, it's not enough to just read something. We have to create something out of it to add your voice to this conversation and to elaborate on your topic and move forward with your learning of the topic. So that is our reading process, the 3rd reads. Make sure to follow up with me with more questions, but we'll continue this process for everything we read during this year, so you'll get very used to it. Thanks. Have a good day.